When Jacob Mitchell first noticed his wife's strange behavior, he had no idea it would lead him to uncover the devastating truth about his daughter's 5-year disappearance. What began as suspicious activities would evolve into a heart-wrenching journey that would test the limits of a father's love. The unusual silence was deafening that autumn evening. Jacob sprinted from room to room, his heartbeat thundering in his ears. "Annika," he called, his voice ragged. "Annika, where are you?" He pushed open the door to the small bedroom at the end of the hall. Pink walls and soft floral curtains greeted him, but there was no sign of his 5-year-old daughter. Melinda, his wife, stood outside the bedroom in the hallway. She looked panicked, tears forming at the corners of her eyes. "She was playing in the yard," Melinda stammered. "I came in to get a drink. When I went back out, she was gone." Jacob tore through the house, checking every closet, under every bed. Irrational attempts at first, perhaps. Maybe Annika was playing a trick, hiding in her usual playful manner. But there was no scuffling behind furniture, no giggles from a corner. The silence terrified him. By the time the police arrived, the entire neighborhood was aflame with worry and confusion. Officers combed every inch of the street, shining flashlights into the darkness, calling Annika's name. At the end of the block, black and white patrol car lights revolved steadily, casting red and blue glows on the pavement. A policewoman approached Jacob gently. "We're doing everything we can, sir. Can you tell us exactly what happened?" Jacob's explanation was painfully short. They had finished dinner just an hour before. Annika had begged to play tag in the yard, and Jacob had retreated inside to gather laundry. Melinda had gone in for a glass of water. Moments later, Annika was gone. No footprints, no screams, no forced entry. Just a chilling emptiness that replaced the warmth of their once cozy home. Days stretched into weeks, and the initial surge of community support waned as tips dried up. Melinda sat in the living room most days, clutching Annika's favorite blanket, her eyes hollow with sorrow. Jacob alternated between guilt and desperation, plastering pictures of Annika around town, calling local stations, even contacting private investigators who specialized in missing persons. Night after night, he stood by her bed, tears brimming while he stared at the pastel-hued walls. A brutal reminder of how abruptly life had changed. The authorities' official statement brought no relief. "We have no leads at this time. We'll keep searching." It was as though Annika had vanished into thin air. As months blurred into years, Jacob noticed subtle changes in Melinda's behavior. In the first year, she had shown genuine heartbreak, sobbing at the sight of Annika's shoes by the doorway, or breaking down upon finding a stray crayon under the couch. But as time rolled on, her expressions of grief became dulled, as though they were practiced. Their marriage, once strong enough to weather the heartbreak of infertility and the joyous decision to adopt, began to crack. Jacob remembered how they had chosen adoption with such courage and hope. Annika had become their miracle, the piece that completed their family puzzle. Yet with Annika gone, something had snapped in Melinda. In the 4th year after Annika's disappearance, Melinda's behavior grew increasingly peculiar. She made strange purchases. A large roll of heavy-duty plastic one day, bags of topsoil another. When Jacob questioned her, she offered half-baked explanations about gardening projects or disposing of old junk. One chilly midnight, while getting a glass of water, Jacob noticed movement in the backyard. Through the window, he saw Melinda, still in her nightgown, crouched beside a fresh patch of turned earth behind the shed. She was burying something wrapped in black plastic, her movements frantic and desperate. The next morning, Jacob announced plans for a backyard renovation project. Melinda's face paled instantly. "But we don't have the money right now," she protested. "Why do you want to start digging everything up?" That night, after ensuring Melinda was asleep, Jacob returned to the spot with a shovel. His hands trembled as he dug, and when the shovel struck something solid, his heart nearly stopped. Inside the black plastic bag, he found Annika's favorite turquoise t-shirt and the dress from her beloved doll, Lily, the same clothes she had worn the day she disappeared. Rage and betrayal coursing through his veins, Jacob confronted Melinda. "What is this?" he demanded, holding up the soil-stained garments. "Why did I just find these buried outside?" Melinda's composure cracked. "You weren't supposed to find that," she wailed, tears streaming down her face. "I couldn't let Annika ruin us. She was a constant reminder of what I couldn't have. You became obsessed with her, Jacob. You forgot me. What did you do to her? Jacob's voice shook with fury and fear. I gave her away, Melinda spat. I found a family overseas, people who wanted a child. Her eyes filled with a manic mixture of anger and desperation. She broke us, Jacob. I was done playing second best in my own home. Within hours, police arrested Melinda. The investigation uncovered more evidence: forged documents, airline receipts, photographs, painting a clear picture of her calculated betrayal. Working with international child welfare agencies, Jacob traced the path to a remote town overseas, where a well-meaning couple had unknowingly accepted Annika through what they believed was a legitimate adoption. When Jacob finally stood at their door, his heart pounded. A woman answered, and behind her, a 10-year-old girl with familiar blonde hair appeared. Though taller now, Annika still had that same bright sparkle in her eyes. Annika, Jacob whispered, kneeling down. It's Dad. For a moment, the world stood still. Then, timidly, she stepped forward and collapsed into his arms, as if some primal bond had reawakened inside her. Through tears, her adoptive parents explained how she hadn't spoken for an entire year after arriving, how they'd loved and protected her, believing she was a child legally waiting for a family. You gave her love when she needed it most, Jacob told them softly. The goodbye was painful, but filled with understanding and promises of future contact. They had been good parents to Annika, and while their hearts broke at letting her go, they knew she needed to be with her father. As Jacob drove away with Annika beside him, he knew the road ahead would be challenging. There would be therapy, tears, and countless conversations about the trauma she had endured. But they had each other again, and love had endured. Glancing at his daughter's reflection in the rearview mirror, Jacob felt hope bloom in his chest. They would face whatever came next together. The truth had indeed been closer to home than he could have imagined, but a father's love had proven stronger than betrayal, distance, or time itself.